ready for the next speaker? Yes. Is your energy high? Yes. Can you take it higher? Yes. Because the next speaker I'm going to call is super inspiring. I've heard her story, and I tell you what, that the way she's built her business is something all of us can learn from. Are you ready to call her on stage, everybody? Yes. So, of course, she is from our MBA community, and she's the founder and managing director of KanCare Assisted Living. And even when she started, her business and housing and tending to the elderly, her first intention was always to provide the best care through her profession. But how many of you feel that you're extremely passionate about your business? Whatever might be your business situation, you're very passionate. Raise your hands. How many of you agree with me that working with that kind of passion, sometimes it can work against you? How many of you have seen that happening for yourself? Yes? So she was in the same situation. And budgeting, marketing, building a team, all of this was very, very new to her. But her intentions were very, very pure. She kept driving her business, making sure that she raised her standards. She did this without any complaints until one day she lands up in a situation where she had a minor accident, and that puts her life to a pause. And that's when she realized when her life came to a pause, her business also came to a pause, came to a stop. And that's when her story really began. At that point in time, she was doing a business of about 45 lakh rupees per year. And she's a doctor, okay, by the way. And as a doctor, she always feared entrepreneurship. She always had that mentality that entrepreneurship is not for me. I'm not supposed to be in business. And she never wanted to call what she did a business in the first place. But then, she had a transformation and her mindset changed. And she kind of embraced this ideology that if good people have more money, they can do more good. How many of you agree with that? Yeah? Good people deserve money because that's when they can do a lot more good. And she embraced that and she built her business like a fighter. Today, she has a 110-member team and in her facility, and she takes care of more than 150 elderly people. She generates 4.7 crores worth of business, and she's here to inspire you with her authenticity. Are you ready to welcome her on stage, everybody? Yes. Come on, everybody. Stand up, stand up. Okay? With a huge round of applause, please help me welcome on stage Dr. Boby Sarah Thomas.
When you hear the word business, what comes to your mind? It's profits, it's risk, money, freedom. For some, it's hustle. But for me, for most of my life, the word business was associated with only one thing. And that was fear. My father, an engineer by profession, was also running a business. When the business did well, he made lots of money. But when the business did not do so well, he also lost a lot of money. And I decided, no, this is not for me. I will just have a regular job. Hello, everyone. I'm Dr. Boby Sarah Thomas. You can call me Dr. Sarah. I am the founder and the managing director of KanCare Assisted Living Solutions Private Limited. We are an elderly care facility where we provide 24/7 residential care for senior citizens, especially those who are sick. And we are based out of Cochin, God's own country. For me, being a doctor was what I always wanted. It's what I dreamt. I did my MBBS, and after that, my plan was to pursue a post-graduation and become a consultant. But at the time that I finished my graduation, my mother was diagnosed with cancer, an advanced cancer. This required me to leave my dreams and be available to take care of her. We are Generation X. We actually listen to our parents. We're that generation that now has to listen to our children as well. But my mom wanted me to get married. And I got married to my husband, Dilip. We have 2 children, a daughter and a son. And the year my son was born, the same year, 3 months after he was born, I lost my mother to cancer. This was a really difficult phase in life. But the children grew up, they went to school, and the year I put my son in kindergarten, I also pursued my dream to be a postgraduate. Now, this was not easy. I was 10 years after my undergraduation. I was a full-time mom, a wife, and a very demanding career. 24/7 duties, hardly slept, assignments, schedules. Doctors will know the grind of doing a postgraduation. But this was my dream. Life is what happens when you're busy making other plans, is what John Lennon said. And after working for a few years, I decided to take a break. You know, when doctors take a break, we don't sit at home and watch Netflix, okay? So when I say I took a break, it meant working 12 to 18 hours versus took a job that required only 6-hour shifts. And I became a consultant in an early cancer detection center. So this was 3 days a week. And the rest 3 days I had time. Again, I decided to pursue studying a part-time course in palliative care. And palliative care is where we care for people for whom cure is no longer possible. It can be terminally ill or chronically ill patients. And this was what I had been through in my journey with my mother. And as I did this course, we went house to house, and I saw so many families like mine. And Kerala is currently facing a social and a demographic crisis with 20% of elderly. The population is 20% or above the age of 60. Now, this number is likely to go up to 25% by 2030. And what is also happening is youngsters are leaving, looking for jobs and looking for studies abroad, leaving behind a vulnerable population. And when they fall sick, it becomes very difficult without a support system. I saw this, and I spoke to my husband, and I said, why don't we do something about it? And he agreed. And we registered a charitable trust. You know, me and business, we still have not met yet, okay? And he had a friend who offered his office space for 8,000 rupees a month. I used my own car, hired a driver and a nurse, and we went door to door. You know, initial few months, I didn't get any calls. Did few calls, but by the end of 1 year, we had registered 100 patients. By the end, it was just word of mouth. And by the end of the second year, 250 patients were registered. In those days, doctors did not do home calls. There weren't people going and visiting the elderly. So the elderly are, you know, good communicators, I think, but this is what we saw. And we also noticed another gap. You know, the homes I went to, many had elders living alone with a carer. There was no one to supervise the care. There was no accountability. One day, on such a visit, an elderly patient of mine, she held my hand and she said, "Doctor, if you start a care home, I will come there and live." I was shocked because old age homes, care homes are associated with stigma. It's a place where people are dumped. And here was a lady willing to leave her own house. So I was thinking, what does she go through in the house for her to say that she would rather come and stay in a care home? And this was an area where, you know, it bothered me. And I spoke to my husband and I said, why don't we do something about it? I said, we can't take care of everybody, but we can take care of 10 people. And that is how residential care we stepped into for the first time. In 2018, KanCare Assisted Living, or the Senior Residential Care, was born in 2018. And you know, when we started, we had no plans or big plans. We had little money. And we had made a decision that we had a certain amount of money saved up for our children's college education. And we had decided that if it ever came to touching that money, I would go back to work. The remaining funds that we had, we put it into this, taking up the house, kitting it up, operational costs. And within a year, these 10 beds were also full. People were hearing about us. People were asking. The demand kept increasing, and I didn't know what to do. So I started looking out for more space. I found the second center, took another 15 beds. You know, from 10 I went to 15, so now we were at 25, and then COVID hit. Everything shut down, and we had a captive clientele. Our customers couldn't leave. We had to take care of them during that period. And you know what? More people started coming in during COVID. I had to vacate my office space, our storeroom, everything we had to shift out because there was demand for more beds. And it was at this time that I decided, once the COVID had settled and things were opening up, we decided to take the big jump and move from a 25-bedded center to a 50-bedded center. Sounds good, but needs cash. And this is where I was stuck again. I went to the banks to ask a loan. And the bank manager told me, sorry ma'am, for a charitable trust, we can't give loan. If you're a private limited company, we can give you a loan. And that is how KanCare Assisted Living Private Limited was registered in 2021. How many of you have started a business without knowing anything? Yeah, I thought I was the only one, but good to see so many. But here I was, a 45-year-old doctor who had only practiced medicine. I didn't know the difference between a P&L statement and a balance sheet. I didn't know how to hire a team or even go through a resume. I didn't know how to do that. You know how I hired? Through WhatsApp status. Or anybody who walked into my office asking for a job was likely to land it. We hired consultants. They told us what to do, but they didn't tell us how. I remember at this time struggling. We joined networks, I read books, I struggled, I tried, I learned, I went for meetings, conferences, you name it, I did everything. But I still struggled. And it was in April of 2023, I had an injury of my left knee. And at this time when I had an injury, I was advised 6 weeks of bed rest. The orthopedic surgeon's my friend, so he said, madam, if you don't take that 6 weeks bed rest, you and I both know you need a surgery. So please take rest. And I knew that was a rest I could not afford to take. So you know what I did? With my leg in the brace, my driver would drive me to the center, and I would take up a bed in my own center and just be there in the daytime. And you know what happened? My staff came to the bedside and reported to me. Everything from, doctor, this patient is sick, to stationery needs to be purchased. It came to my bedside. It was, how many of you have had a situation like this where you need a break, but you can't take it? You can't afford to take it. That's where I was. And at that time, a good friend sent me a video. And you know what the video said? Are you a business owner? Are you doing the sales and the marketing and the accounts and the HR? You're not running a business. You're in the trap of self-employment. The famous ad. And I thought, anyway, the leg is like this, I can attend this. If it hadn't been for the accident, I would not get those hours to sit in that class. And many of you might think that some of these things are accidents. but they're actually, I think, divine appointments so that we are led to our destiny. And after attending the business success workshop, you know what I really thought? What I really thought was, this is possible for these coaches and all. These people don't work 24/7 like us. How will KanCare run without me? It's possible for Rajiv and Karan and coaching business, but not for mine. But despite that, I took a leap of faith. I joined the MBA program. I took a loan and joined the MBA program. When I joined the program, my number one challenge was I had no predictability of the month. Month to month, what is going to happen was, always a stress, a crisis for me. Because 5th of the month, salary has to go. 4th night, I would have panic attacks. Anybody here? After you pay the salary the rest of the month, how will the expenses run? How will we go through the month? If a patient leaves, how fast will we fill the next bed? Where are the leads coming from? I didn't know all of this. And one of my biggest fears, what if I fail? What if I end up a failure? What if I end up losing all this money? Tomorrow, will my children also blame me, saying, what a mistake you made? These were thoughts that nagged me. But I realized after the coaching that I needed to do marketing. But you know what? Marketing was a mental block. Because the Indian Medical Association actually does not allow doctors to advertise themselves. It is considered an unethical practice. And for me, this was a mental block. I said, am I doing something wrong? But I understood about educational marketing as a tool. We are educating customers, and we are telling them about the benefits of what our services or how their health can be improved. And I began to do small videos. I mean, I'm not the daily poster or anything like that, but little things I tried. Interview videos, small videos, started posting them on YouTube and Facebook. And slowly leads started increasing. Now I had the challenge, once the leads started coming in, I had to train the team. Every Wednesday, for 2 hours, I would sit with my team and train them on the sales training. Take them through the scripts and the role plays and all that. And within 3 months of the coaching, the center filled up. Now, I would like to say that this was a very easy ride. But that's a fairy tale. Do you know what the reality was? The reality was that each step was a struggle. Every time I told somebody to do something, there was always an opposition. And after 3 months, you know what I did? I quit coaching. I said, I need a break. The center's full. I'm happy. Leave me alone. I need a break. Because the one thing that I was at that time was exhausted. Tired, overwhelmed, and exhausted. But the demand kept increasing. And at this point, a customer walked into my office and he said, Madam, is there a bed available? Even on the veranda, I'll take it. So I was like, there are other centers in Cochin. Why don't you please inquire? He said, no, I've been to all of them. And I want a bed here. And that's when I knew we needed to grow. And we looked out for a second center. But this time, we did it differently. How many of you have faced this challenge where you have a team, but you have to do everything? You are responsible for all the decisions. Yes? That was me too. And how did we change this? Is slowly, steadily started implementing 1 or 2 things. I used to hire before with WhatsApp status. So now I at least had a role clarity document in place. Simple things that we did. And we started dividing the departments into medical, non-medical, admin, accounts. Each department, the 7 functions of the business, started dividing into departments where each department had a head. And each head would report to me. Now, this sounds very fancy. But you know what the reality was? The competency iceberg and the role clarity and all this sounds good in a class. But when we implement on the ground, when I asked for reports, I got resignations. When I asked for accountability, I got accusations of being unreasonable. And this was the challenge. How many of you can relate with this? Yeah? You come here, you attend the program, you're all out to shake your business, rock it, and all you get is resistance. What do? You do it again. You hire again, and you fire again. You hire again, and you fire again. You do it again. You know, the most difficult decision for me was firing myself. Firing myself from the medical team. It took me a long time to actually let go of that baby. I hired for the next center, we took up a bigger building with 60 beds. We had the existing first building with 50 beds, took up a second unit with 60 beds, and this time we hired 3 doctors to look after both the centers. And I sat on top of them for some time. You know, this was a difficult baby to let go. But I knew that if I needed to reach more people in need, I needed to step back. Step back from the thing I liked to do, step back from the only thing I knew to do, and step back from the thing that I was passionate about. And here I wasn't firing myself for incompetence. Okay, let's get that clear. But I was firing myself because we needed to grow bigger. And what happened? The second center filled up in 11 months. With 80% capacity in 11 months, the second center filled up. My father is a resident today at the second center. And when I go to visit him, you know what he says? When I ask about his health and about how he's doing, you know what he says? He says, the real doctor is taking good care of me. That's how good my team is. The third challenge I had was personal income. It was challenging. We were putting more money in than we could take out. And also, there's a class on this financial things, all the not to do's. I did all of that. I mixed all the personal, the business. It was a big masala. We're slowly trying to get out of all of that. But the knowledge helped to know, to clearly divide between personal and business finances. And as the business reached its goals, I was also able to start reaching my own personal aspiration goals. Today, we are a team of 110. We have 2 centers fully filled. As I speak today, my team is setting up the 3rd unit and increasing our capacity to 150 beds. Our revenues have grown year on year from 2023 to 1.5 crores to the last financial year, 4.8 crores was our sales revenues. This has been an incredible ride. And what I have learned is that business is a science. Be a student. You don't know what you don't know. So keep learning. Business is about systems. It's not just building systems, but it's reviewing those systems and shutting down the systems that don't work anymore. And business is about consistency. Change doesn't happen overnight. Yes. Change doesn't happen overnight. Nothing changes overnight. In fact, you implement and sometimes you wonder, when will it change? But in this process, don't quit. Don't give up. And please, don't stop, because the results are just truly worth it. Thank you.
Come on, everybody, round of applause for Dr. Sarah!
Yes, I did. I did. For the second Sunday, I came back and did my coaching.
I was just checking with her.
Wait.
Check.
Yeah.
I was just checking with her, did she complete the coaching or not?
Yes.
Because I was hooked over there. When did she come back? Okay. But give her a round of applause, everybody.
To join her at this special moment, I would like to call on stage Mr. Dilip Jacob, which is Dr. Sarah's husband, Ruby Biju, who's the operations head of KanCare, and Ms. Sheila, who's the nursing HOD of KanCare. Please come up on stage.
I just want to say that when a business with a meaning makes money, society flourishes. So thank you for what this team does. Big round of applause for them, everybody. Thank you so much. Can we do a Proficorn selfie with them, everyone? Yes. Awesome. So if we turn this side and come back a bit.
Come back.
Ladies and gentlemen, please give a big round of applause to the entire team here on stage.